everyone, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. We are here at the Kerbal Space Center, and today we're going to do a redesign of our 10-ton payload launcher. I firmly believe that this ship is powerful enough to lift, let's see, it was the Mark 1 was the one that I actually wound up, no, it was the Mark 2. I cut that cost down a bit. This was the first design. But I firmly believe that I can use that I can modify this ship to send a payload to the moon, if you can believe it. I really think it's got enough guts to it to actually do the job. So let's just make some notes here. The thing currently weighs 101.845 tons. And that mass is enough, and the power of this ship is enough to get that mass into orbit just barely. So let's yank that off. We won't need the decouplers. So now one important thing, these communicatrons, is because I don't have the tier 2 communication device yet, it's only good in the vicinity of Kerbal. So the first thing we have to say is this thing will definitely not be returning a transmission from the moon, because it just won't have the guts to do it. Okay. So yanking that off, we're going to put on a little bit more RCS, because we're going to need a bit to... So my goal here is, what we're going to do is a Mooner free return. I'm going to attempt to do I don't know, we'll see if I can design an orbit that will result in a low pass around the moon, and then basically swinging back towards Kerbal. That's the theory anyways. So we're going to need a modular girder. So that is currently a 1-ton payload. We weigh 92, which is a little less than 10 tons. I don't even know if that thing's necessary, honestly. I think we might be okay without it. We'll just cram everything onto the... Actually, we could just cram everything onto the RCS tank. No, the RCS tank's too big. So what I'm thinking is we're going to try... And we're going to need a decoupler. We're not going to be testing that. Now, right, with these heat shields, there's 2 points of connection. You see there's the upper one. If I did that, this thing will burn. So it has to be connected to the lower anchor point so that it's flush like that, and then we're okay. All right. So we're going to be putting most of the juice on the lower part of the ship. I may have to add another engine. I may have to tweak this just a little bit more. The Mark II might actually be necessary for this. But let's do it. We'll do one there, and one there. Because we need enough power to get us to the moon. And enough power to get us to the moon and gathering the science. And if we're lucky, we can have this thing deployed as a free return. Here it is, the parachute. We'll put the big one on, and this thing will be configured to full partial deploy at 0.2, I believe is low enough. And full deployment at 500 is still good usually. Okay. Now it says here in fine print we should be able to get away with not actually having an antenna on this thing. But what we're going to need is we need to do samples. We need to get temperature samples and barometer samples from several different elevations. So what we're going to do is we're going to pre-configure each of these to action groups to match the science it's intended to grab. And of course I didn't put RCS on this thing. That was kind of foolish. You know, I might only need, let's see, 50 or 200. Let's try that. Okay. So, we'll get some anchors here. Nope. Because we want to make sure this thing does not fall apart. Where is it? Of course not. There we are. Got it. Okay, we'll start you there. and up to there. That should hold it together nicely. Okay. So we've got 2 thermometers, a barometer, and we're going to... Oh, and how much does that weigh compared with the other sensor we're going to need, which is a gravioli? I wonder, can I squeeze goo onto here? No, this is going to be a little small. Well, no, I could squeeze 1 goo on here. Maybe I could squeeze 2. Wouldn't that be cool if I could squeeze 2 goo samples on here? Iffy though. And I don't really like the way that's clipping there. Well, we want to get as much science from this one flight as possible. So let's see, what's the mass of the goo? The goo is 0.3, 0.5. So this is combined as 0.1, this mess right here. And we want these not mirrored. So turn that off. Come on. 1 and 2. So high and then low pass data gather. And that weighs in at 0.1. Now then, if we're going to be getting down to a low pass, that means we can get a couple gravioli scans. So we'll throw 1. So okay. So each gravioli can store 1 data sample. So if I put 2 graviolis on this side, now how optimistic do you think we are? We're going to be doing a low pass. So that's 0.2 mass on that side. So if I put 2 of them on the other side, like so, and like so, that's 0.2 mass on the other side. Throw on 2 of these. Okay, let's configure the... Oh, shoot, I overwrote my medium payload lifter Mark II. That's okay. Actually, I haven't made that many changes to it. I'll rework it. I'll fix it later. This will become... I'll fix it off camera. This will be called Lunar Probe Mark 1. Okay, so far it's 94.845 mass. Now let's get these action groups configured. So on custom 1, we're going to do 1 thermometer. Okay, let's get rid of these. Custom 1 will be log temperature at high elevation. Custom 2 will be a low elevation pressure and thermometer. Custom 3 will be gravioli 1. Custom 4 will be gravioli 2, and custom 5 will be gravioli 3. All right, so we've assigned 1 through 5. Now then, for number 6, we're going to not mirror this because that'll give us the ability to assign them to separate sampling numbers. So that will be custom 6 and custom number 7 right there. And one of those will be for high orbit and one of those will be for low orbit. They're just a little off balance from each other right now. So custom 5 is logging gravity, custom 6 will be the first goo, and custom 7 will be the second goo. So this is the part I need to get to the ground. And this parachute will get pre-deployed with a pressure of 0.2 and an altitude of 500. So pre-deployment, post-deployment, it's got a heat shield on it. The only thing I'm not sure about, okay, so it weighs, the payload is 5 tons lighter than the one we sent up earlier. So there are 2 ways we could handle this. And I think I'm going to go with the second way. Let's see. This weighs 1.125, this weighs 2.25. Let's make it a 5-ton ship, approximately. but let's add one extra stage to it. So this thing here, knowing that our current ship is adequate to lift everything we've built so far, right there. So that is still less mass than the ship we built. It's less by 2 tons. It means we need to move the batteries up to here, and we'll put 3 of them, we'll put 6 of them on here. You know what, we'll just put, let's see how many of them we can squeeze on in. Let's see, 8. Let's make it 6. I don't know how, well, 8. We can do 8 because this ship up here is actually going to be the part that goes. And then we're going to put 4 RCS there. Put 8 right there. And then we'll put 4 more RCS right on here. 99.495. So it is 1.5 tons lighter. Sorry, 2. It's 2.5 tons, 2.4 tons lighter than the 10-ton lifter with no changes. And we have basically another stage, which is very small, very light, and should be adequate to boost us to the moon. Now then, we'll throw the parachute in a separate stage. I don't want to trigger it accidentally. That is going to go up here along with the final engine. Where is it? Is that it? That's it right there. Silly staging. All right. So let's just check. We have all of our engines. We have 6 on the outside, 1 in the middle. We have 1, 2, and 3 second stage engines. And we have 1 third stage engine plus its decoupler. And we have the parachute, which will be pre-deployed to an altitude of 500 and a minimum pressure of 0.2. And our planned design calls for a lunar free return, which means basically we don't establish an orbit with the moon. We do sort of a slingshot back around the moon. It says here in fine print, right? That's the design I have planned. Now, whether that can be executed or not remains to be seen. I'm not going to have time to fly this today. I've got commitments. So instead, I'm going to save this. And I'm going to take a couple minutes and design something to test this Rockomax thingamajobber. Because it's going to be a goofball flight, and I really just need something very simple because it needs to be tested flying at a speed of 90 to 290 meters per second at Kerbal. So we'll wrap up the episode with this. So I will tweak that into existence, and I'll be right back. And besides, this will give you guys a couple days to give me feedback before I fly this questionable, I think it'll work design, but if you have any feedback on this, I would be certainly... Oh, hold on. Okay, before you guys yell at me, I did see it. I did catch it before. There we go. As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by my computer. I've remembered to add a stage for this uppermost decoupler, so we won't have a horrible moment where I blow the whole ship into 2 parts halfway through the mission, like seems to happen a lot. Alright, I'm just double check those action groups one more time. Custom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Done. Okay. Alright, sorry. Now I'm going to design a ship that's going to deal with that Rockomax thingamajobber, and I'll be right back. Alright, meet the Rockomax decoupler tester. Configured so that it will eject everything below it here, I think. Which we could actually test and then revert. This is a test to make sure the ship works the way it's supposed to. Perfect. And none of that should be... Yeah. Alright, revert to launch. That was a terrible test and did not work the way it was supposed to at all. because it was a test. But I'm pretty sure it did not decouple the probe core from things because the engines still worked and the engines are attached. So our target is 23,000 to 27,000 meters at a speed of 90 to 290 meters per second. So really quite slow. So this thing is overpowered, but my intent is to bring 99% of this ship home. Now, the honest truth is, the reason I designed it this way was to keep the center of mass low, because it will turn turtle otherwise, because this thing's quite heavy when compared with the rest of the ship. And if it was perched up on top, the whole thing would have a tendency just to fall right over, and that would be really unfortunate. So ideally what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be doing this test as it basically peaks its apoapsis, which will be just over 20,000 meters, and then we deploy the parachutes as it's falling, which, by the way, they've been configured to the settings that I'm intending to use for my returning Mooner ship, so it's a secondary test right there. And I'll just deploy the parachutes, and I won't do anything until we get close to the ground, if we're going faster than about 6 meters per second. Okay, so we're in the test speed zone now. Whoa, 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 whoa. Back up, back up, back up. My center of mass is changing, of course, because I'm draining the tanks. Alright, come on, we can do this. It should be just barely enough. The whole thing should be just enough fuel to do the job. It says here in fine print. We've still got quite a window of speed. So what we might do is give it a nice big pulse of speed, put it up to full well, no, you know what, we're doing good. We're at 1,200 meters, and we're just going to keep it perfectly vertical. Well, as perfectly vertical as we can when the thing's fighting me, because we still don't have RCS, even the most rudimentary RCS controls yet, which is a little frustrating, but the question is, are we going to get high enough? We're going faster than we need to go. Oh, yes, yes we are. We're going to run out of fuel, and we're going to get ready to separate these two parts. It's okay that we're tumbling as long as my apoapsis goes up. Now we just need to slow down. Altitude, a little higher, come on, a little higher. We're not going to be going fast enough, are we? 22, 23, 300. Test it. Did it! Huh, that was close. I think we were just barely going fast enough to get that credit for that. All right, and now we should start falling, and now is the time where we will deploy our parachutes, which are not going to deploy quite yet. What an absurd little ship. Isn't that hilarious? But if I can bring this whole thing back, I think we just ran out of fuel, so we're pretty much at the mercy of those parachutes and their ability to straighten this ship out. But we are picking up a lot of speed here, because we haven't hit that all-important deceleration density. Still speeding up. Well, we're about to hit the lower atmosphere now. And we should start slowing down. Yep, there we go. And those parachutes should deploy soon. They are deployed, right? It's a shame it doesn't tell me what the pressure out there actually is. There they go. Perfect, right on schedule. Yeah, that'll be plenty high enough. That'll be perfect. About 8,000 meters. That's a good height. Especially because the little return probe we're bringing back from the moon is going to be really small. Now we're going to land within a few meters of... we're going to land right on the Kerbal Space Center. We may even land right on the runway. Now, ideally... Now, this thing is definitely going to be a profit. This ship was bloody inexpensive. I'll show you the price after we land. But every part we can recover is more profit in the bank from this particular contract. So, hence the design that I used here, because if we can bring back all of the parts minus fuel intact, that's a really good return on the investment. And here goes the final deployment. Oh yeah, no problem. That should be below the speed threshold where things break. It's somewhere between 6 and 7 meters per second where parts break when they hit the ground. Yes, I know I'm time accelerating, and I know that's not advisable, so we're going to slow it down here before landing, right about now, with 30 meters to go, and we're coming down for a beautiful, beautiful touchdown. Nice! Look at that. Recover the vessel. So I think that was a pretty profitable contract, actually, when all is said and done. No science. Parts, we recovered 10,292 of the total parts value. The contract awarded us 21,000. We got 10,000 back from the parts. And how much did we lose? How much does that ship cost to launch? Part that I missed. Parts tester cost 11,000, so we only lost $1,000 on that. Yep, pretty profitable indeed. We got a launch escape system in flight over Kerbal. Of course, there's another in flight over Kerbal test. Very fast at a very, very low elevation, but not outside of the realm of possibility. 230 between, yeah, no, that's very doable. Pretty good return too. That little ship is probably going to be very useful to me in the future. That design that I've just done, because we've got all these funny little low elevation parts tests, and now I can actually do them at low elevation. I could even do this one on the way to the moon, but I don't want to risk messing up my flight just for a parts test, especially when I've got a parts testing rig like that can bring back 90% of the value without breaking a sweat. What? Yeah, anyways, hope you enjoyed this little detour, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next episode when we fly, hopefully, a probe to the moon. Bye for now.